Hey everyone, Orange here. Welcome back to my August 2016 TOA Hard series. Today we're on floor 96. Okay, so I've given this whole speech in these other videos, so let me do it again. I gotta remember all this stuff. So, first of all, I'm using my standard TOA Hard team. I use this team on the majority of floors in TOA Hard, and it's pretty much smooth sailing as long as I keep upgrading my runes. My runes aren't amazing by any means. They're decent. Things are easy and this team works for this floor. The main strategy of this team is just to keep everything stunned at all times and dot everything up, and then they die to dots. So that's what they're doing here. Other teams that are similar to this, well, just one team specifically, the Spectra Gildong Woundhack combo is a really good one for TOA Hard, and then you may even have some other options like Nat 5s and stuff. So right now I am going to suggest, if you guys are still having troubles finding a team or having troubles on this floor, go to Reddit and use the search bar and just search for TOA Hard 96 or whatever, and then there's probably a bunch of threads out there with people helping each other with teams for this floor and even sharing what teams they used. A lot of people share what teams they used for TOA Hard on Reddit in those threads. I'm also going to link you guys a special thread down below that lists out a bunch of teams that people used for this floor, so check out that thread. It may help you. So let's go ahead and get on to the strategy that I used to beat this floor. So same as all the other floors in the 90s, stun everything, dot everything, win. You'll see me focusing a Water Marshal Cat down with my Vero. Whichever one has more dots, I will focus. And there's like a bunch of small things that you do that I'll get into in a second. So you'll see me dotting one up. It's just easier when you focus them because then they die faster and then it's out of the picture. Because if you're spreading stuff out, they're not going to die as fast and they'll have more turns basically because they're alive longer. So this first stage is pretty simple aside from the Water Marshal Cats because your Beretta can't reliably land dots on them. So that's why I use Vero to, you saw me throw out a Lucky Despair Stun there. Sometimes you have to throw out Lucky Stuns because everything else was stunned, so why not try to get a Lucky Despair Stun? Because Beretta does have elemental disadvantage versus that Marshal Cat, but I could go for a Lucky Stun and it paid off, so do stuff like that. Spread out your defense break to get a tiny bit more damage off with your stomps. Nothing's defense broken, or two things are. Maybe I'm not spreading it out properly, but spread that out because that tiny bit of damage, 200 damage, even just 200 could be the difference between a successful run and a failed run. And then make sure you don't over debuff things. Enemies can only have 10 debuffs up, so if they're getting close to 10, make sure you have room for stuns and sleeps and taunts. So don't put them at 10 if, you need to CC them or whatever. And I think that's pretty much it for this wave. Everything's kind of dying. I always like to have my Arya's thing, her AoE thing. I use that off cooldown. I think for me, I found that everything works really well when I just use that whenever it's up. But sometimes you have to not use it if you need to sleep something or whatever. There's like a bunch of small decisions that you guys can make that I'm sure you're good at making if you've gotten this high up in TOA Hard. So we're just, I rarely use my Arya's second. I don't know if that's bad or whatever. Probably not, I don't know. I've never, gotten in the situation where I thought that using Arya's second was helpful. To stun or whatever, to combo with her first. Okay, so here we go. Make sure that you have all of your skills up because you need a good opener. So we get all my dots up and one Despair Stun, yay. And it's important to get that slow first turn, so you'll see me always putting this up even though there's a dude who's not CC'd, but my Mav comes in, he's fast enough to move. So for this wave, my computer, I'm sorry guys, I don't know what's going on. It's just playing the video back slow, I think. So what was I going to say for this? The werewolves, I don't really think they do anything too special. The griffins, I think, I only know about them because I think people like to use them in PvP. The dark griffins have like a stun and something else maybe, so I think they're more dangerous than the werewolves, so I kind of prioritize going for them. And everything else still applies, spreading out your defense debuff, not over debuffing if you need to stun. not stomping if they're already stunned. If everyone's stunned, you don't need to stomp, just save it for next turn because everyone's already stunned. Just put up dots because they're what's going to do more work than just randomly stomping when they're already stunned. So all those small things apply still, so those are just kind of basic tips, I guess. So we're just going to skip ahead because this wave is kind of boring and there's nothing too special about it. Okay, once again, make sure you have everything up. You need a good opener. Moving on to the final wave. So we get a good opener. It's important to have a good opener on this wave especially. Well, not especially, but for most waves it is. So you want to make sure that you don't let the fire chimeras move. I think the dark one does a lot of damage, but if the fire chimeras move, they have immunity. I mean, I faced them and they put up immunity, and immunity is one of those cock blockers. Like, you guys know what my team does and what a really good strategy in TOA hard is. My team just needs to put up debuffs. I need to put up dots, I need to put up my slow, I need to stun, I need to sleep, whatever. You guys get it. So if they have immunity on, I can't really do that very well. So I need to make sure that they don't move at all, stun them, standard stuff. Stun, sleep, taunt. Yes, and then remember Mav's taunt doesn't do damage, so he can't glance, so Mav's taunt lands the same on fire monsters as it does water monsters. And also, save your Bella's Seize. I know Bella's Seize does like a tiny bit more damage, so let's say in a scenario where they're all defense broken, I could Seize for a tiny bit more damage, but I like to save that in case one of them does get immunity. It's important to get that off. So that's pretty much the whole secret to this final floor. So that's pretty much it. You guys can see, I guess I'll skip ahead a little bit to see if any of them get immunity. That one on the right is stunned, so I guess we'll skip ahead. Everything looks pretty handled. So those are all my tips. There's only 3 monsters, so it should be not too difficult to stun all of them and stuff like that. So those are all my tips. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna sign off. I'll catch you guys in the next video.